All right, Viking fans, I told y'all I was going to give y'all a short video on how I felt about the running game. So let's get into it. Can the Minnesota Vikings solve their running back problems? I don't know. But first, let's start off with the personnel. Now, I'm not going to go back too far because it's been said on multiple podcasts, multiple platforms, how I really felt about the Dalvin Cook situation. I mean, I'm not finna go as far and say that, hey, the running game would be a whole lot better if Dalvin Cook was here. We don't know that, and Dalvin Cook's not doing a great job over there with the Jets. And I kind of questioned, him signing with the Jets because we all knew Brees Hall was going to be coming back for injury. And when he became 100% healthy, I kind of knew that that was going to take away from Dalvin Cook's carries. So let's move on. So during the whole off season, there was a lot of chatter about, do you pay running backs? Do you draft running backs in the first, second round? Basically, just devaluating the whole running back position. Now, this is what I saw, and this is what I believe in. So we saw the Kansas City Chiefs on their Super Bowl run. They basically had a consistent running game, with Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon, whoever was in there. And I kind of feel like people get away from like actual football because I feel like when the Minnesota Vikings actually have a lead, if they're able to run the ball consistently, the running game will be able to protect that lead. And as you saw with, the Saints game on Sunday, basically the Vikings were leading throughout that whole game 24-3. Now I do understand, things happen. Jameis Winston came in there and he started slinging that ball. But if you think about it like this, if they were able to run the ball consistently during that game with that lead, they would have been able to basically bleed the clock and basically control the game and basically impose their will on the opposing team. And when you basically don't run the ball, you open your whole, offense up and game up to, mishaps happening. Like with Baltimore on Sunday, they basically had the game in the bag and couldn't run the ball, or I'm not going to even say couldn't run the ball because they are the best rushing team in the league. I have no idea why they didn't run the ball and why they kept passing. And look what happened. They lost the game to a division rival. So, I mean, like the running game is so important. So let's get back to the personnel. So Alexander Madison. Now, this isn't a slight on Alexander Madison's skill set, or I'm not going to come on here and bash him and say he trash and he needs to get cut, needs to get traded. I just feel like Alexander Madison is good within the backup role, especially when he's backing up a guy that's explosive, that has the shiftiness, like basically a true thunder and lightning combination. I mean, I think Alexander Madison is great in certain spots. If your star running back or your lead back, whatever you want to call it, needs a breather, he comes in, gets a few carries, boom, 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 goes back to the bench. I just feel like Alexander Madison is great within the backup role. But let's move on. Ty Chandler, I don't really understand why the Minnesota Vikings haven't given Ty Chandler consistent carries to kind of see what he can do with the football. I'm not sure what they're seeing in, practice or whatever. Maybe it's more of his pass protection or whatever. But I'm just what I'm seeing when he comes into the game, especially with the Saints games, like his first carry, he went for a first down, 11 yards, boom. And that's what you need. Like, that's what you need. So, considering that Alexander Madison is in concussion protocol, so we will probably see more of Ty Chandler, but let's see more of Connell Wangu. I mean, we just seen that the Minnesota Vikings have brought Miles Gaskin, off the practice squad from the Rams and brought him back to the Minnesota Vikings, which is cool. But Dwayne McBride was touted as like a steal of the draft or whatever. So, I mean, why not elevate him from the practice squad to the roster and actually see what he has? Like at this point, like if we really want to be considered, a scary team in the playoffs and really thinking about trying to make some noise. I don't want Josh Dobbs to be our running game. I don't want that. I don't want to get to the point to where we're basically having to run the ball with our quarterback, because I mean you make him more open and susceptible to getting hurt. I understand when he's on the scramble, he's making a play and stuff like that, but I don't want that to be our offense. Like, we can only run the ball with Dobbs. We have to try to get some consistency through these running backs. So, I mean, I really don't know. It's like, I just feel like sometimes you get what you ask for. And I think the Minnesota Vikings didn't really look at the running back position as, a need on this team. They basically said, like, okay, we got it. We're going to roll with Alexander Max and stuff like that. Like, I kind of knew, the first game, like, okay, we need to figure out this running game, because this running game is not working. So going forward, like, I'm gonna be, real anxious to see what they do. I mean, just like I said before, Alexander Madison is probably going to miss the Denver Broncos game, so we're going to see what we got in Ty Chandler. But I do think that running back is a position of high need throughout the offseason. Like, I really wanted them to trade for somebody, at the trade deadline, maybe bring in a Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley. I know it sounds like a pipe dream, but just think about what this offense can be if they had a running back that could, 10, 15 carries a game and get you 100 yards. We basically only have 2 rushing touchdowns this season. That's pathetic. Like, I don't want to keep bringing up Dalvin Cook, but Dalvin Cook basically ran with this same offensive line last year, minus Dalton Reisner, and got over 1,000 yards. So you get what you asked for. You wanted to devalue this position, and this is what you got. And I hear people say, like, oh, if running back is a need in the offseason, we're just going to draft a 3rd rounder. No. You need to draft a stud. Okay? Like, cut the shit. All this trying to cut numbers, and you don't want to spend the draft capital on a running back. Get a stud. Dalvin Cook was a stud. All right? Adrian Peterson was a stud. So I don't understand it. Like, stop playing games. Stop being cute. Because if you want to really make noise in this league and get to the playoffs and win consistently, in the playoffs and playing these cold weather teams, playing outside, perfect example. The Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, right? They're a good team basically last year or whatever. They got their ass ran by the Cincinnati Bengals last year in their home field. Now, what's the use of you having home field advantage if you can't use that as an advantage? Because they can't run the ball consistently. And now look at them now. Like, defenses is just picking them off. Like, the running game is important. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, and thank you guys for subscribing to the channel, liking the videos, comments on the videos. If you got any questions or you want to get at me and, have a little conversation back and forth, let me know. I'm always here. So Skol, baby.